day, I am one of the private bank directors at Fifth Third Bank, but this year I am pleased to serve as a volunteer as a Dan Beard Council board member and be the 2020 Council Popcorn Chair. So obviously in this unique environment, we're excited to share with you some new updates as we offer a preview of this year's popcorn sale. With everything going on this year, we want you to know that we understand that some of you had questions about what the popcorn sale will look like, and we hope to help answer some of those tonight. Ken, myself, and the rest of the team have been hard at work reviewing options, developing new strategies with Trails End, and looking at ways to best support each of you and your scouts with the sale. And we wanted to get this information out to you earlier than ever, just so we can start to think ahead. I think you'll really be pleased with some of the new enhancements that we have, so let's go ahead and jump right in. I do want to note that we do have a number of people on tonight's call. I think that Ken and Michael were telling me that we had over 70 people RSVP, which is fantastic. But as an abundance of caution to limit the background noise, we have muted everyone's lines, and we ask that you keep them muted to help everyone participate and enjoy this call. If you have a question that comes to mind as we are covering things, there is an icon just below the video that says chat. I know many of you are already familiar with Zoom and understand the chat functionality. You can click on that icon and submit your question to Ken or myself or the group in whole, and we'll do our best to answer those as we go along. We'll also be sure to capture all of these questions at the end in case we don't get to yours and submit out an FAQ page. So the first item that I'm excited about is to share the popcorn theme for 2020. That theme is Popcorn Adventure, Tales of the Golden Popcorn Chest. Due to this unique environment, we can all consider 2020 to be very much an adventure. For those of you who are familiar with the sale for the last couple of years, we've had some really fun themes to get our scouts and parents excited about popcorn. And we think this year's theme gives your unit some flexibility to have some fun with it. So now to the nuts and bolts. Why should we sell popcorn? Well, over $730,000 was returned to scouting last year alone. As we see, 73% of the proceeds returned to the scouts directly, and that's through funding to your units, reinvesting into the sale to support you with free advertisements and materials, and providing new equipment and facility improvements for local scouts out at camp. I can tell you as a board member, I've seen just how much popcorn helps us enable the improvements to the scouting experience here locally. And when we all participate together in this, we can do some great things to make scouting even better for our youth. So now on to a little bit of the popcorn plan. So we want to give an overview of the strategy, some flexibility to go with this unique environment, some creativity that we've included, and then kind of get to our concrete plan. So I'm just going to be upfront and honest with you guys. Some of the stuff we're going to share with you tonight is going to sound a little bit different, maybe even very different, and perhaps look a little different than some past sales. But after talking with Ken and the rest of the team, I really do believe that this is really going to be a good thing, and a lot of the things we have to incorporate this year to the unique environment will probably carry on with us in future popcorn sales. I can tell you from day one, Ken and I and the popcorn team have been looking at plan A, plan B, plan C, and everywhere in between, quite frankly. And the reality is that this year we're going to have some flexibility and creativity because we know you are counting on popcorn to help fund your unit, to help fund membership fees, and help fund future scouting activities. So with all of that said, I'm very confident that this year's plan helps to enable each of you and your scouts to be able to sell popcorn no matter what type of environment that we're going to face over the next several months heading into the fall. And that is the most important thing. We do have several options to meet your needs no matter the environment. So we hope to be able to sell popcorn just like we always have, but given the uncertainty around the environment we'll be in this fall, we've been working hard with Trails End to introduce several new enhancements for this year's sale. So obviously in this unique environment, we want to provide an enhanced digital toolkit for your use. At a high level, these enhancements include many new tools to provide safe options for selling, new online options and enhancements new features and functionality to the app, and updates to the leader dashboard for those of you who are colonels managing the sale. We're going to take a minute or two to walk through each one of these now, and I'm going to turn it over to Ken to help take you through some of the specifics. Take it away, Ken.
Well, Joel, thank you so much for kind of taking us through those early pieces. We're really excited, as Joel shared, to just provide a number of enhancements this year. And so my name is Ken Bruner. I'm the staff advisor for the popcorn sale and director of development and marketing for Dan Beard Council, and just really excited to share some of these new updates. And probably the biggest update kind of right out of the gate here that you see on your screen is that we've been working with Trails End in order to provide all of the products online this year. And so what that means is that, yes, a customer is going to be able to buy a $10 bag of caramel corn directly online. And so what that also means is that, you know, as many of you have maybe shared in the past, that the price point for online sales is also going to come down further. Those of you familiar with it in the past know that some of those price points were higher, and they were bundled packages and things. And so this year, every item that is a part of the sale is going to be available online, and we think that's really going to contribute to your unit and your Scout's ability to sell more product online. Because we're going to be having, you know, a price point as low as $10 on a given item, it does mean that there's going to be shipping costs associated with this year's sale. And, you know, if we're selling things at $10 and $15, just as if we were going door to door or storefront sales or things like that, we have to build in some shipping costs there. And so some of you may have seen this, but for the first item, that shipping cost is going to be $7.99. However, every item after that is going to be reduced. And so a second item is just 99 cents if somebody adds on to their order. And I will tell you that I know this hasn't been 100% determined, but Trails End is looking at some thresholds, much like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or something of that nature, where if somebody orders a certain amount, that they would also get free shipping as a part of that. And so I think those are some really nice benefits to us, and just the ability for us to sell all of the different items this year online, I think will go a long way for us. The next item I want to be sure to cover is some updates and enhancements to the Popcorn app. And so just like last year, you're still going to be able to use the app to do any number of features, and your parents will as well. Process credit cards transactions for free through the app. Still going to be able to schedule storefronts, manage your sale, all those great things that the app provided last year. But, you know, we've listened to feedback. We've worked with Trails End to emphasize some key items that we wanted to make sure were included in the app this year. And we've also brought some enhancements in order to help make the sale a little bit more contactless through some benefits of the app. And so the number of clicks it takes to check out has been significantly reduced. Many of you will be really excited to hear that there's new undelivered logic, as Trails End calls it, or the ability to mark items undelivered for wagon sales. So I know that that was a major item last year, so that has been updated and corrected. The app is going to allow a brand new feature that I'm pretty excited about, and that is direct-to-consumer shipping for any order. And so what that means is that even a Scout who is going door to door or doing wagon sales would be able to offer an option to that customer to have the product shipped directly to their door, which if you can imagine then would, you know, in some scenarios enable a Scout not to have to make a second trip around or maybe create additional exposure. Another feature that I've heard Colonels excited about related to that is that means even if you were at a storefront sale, if you didn't have the product right there on hand, you could still put the customer's information in and ship it directly to their door. So that's a pretty exciting option for this year. You're still going to be able to, I'm sorry, brand new also this year in the app is that scouts will actually be able to record an online sale directly through the app. And so if you can imagine, in the past there were some tabs across the bottom. You can kind of see them here on your screen where there's a wagon sale, a storefront sale. Now you've got the option to go straight to online. And so for any items that are online, just available online, a scout can click that and process an order and ship it straight to somebody's home. And the last pretty neat feature related to the app that I want to, that will help with some digital benefits and enhancements this year for contactless is that the app is going to give a scout the ability to actually share an online cart via a text message to the customer, so that then the customer could actually check out, put in their own information, their credit card information, their address, whatever it may be, directly onto their own phone and hit checkout and complete the payment. So just another way that, a scout can avoid passing a device back and forth or things of that nature. So another great tool for social distancing. We had really high adoption last year in Danbury Council of the app. Over 89% of our units used it last year. And for those who recorded more than 75% of their sales in the app, those units all, as an average, grew by over 10%. So some really strong benefits that we're seeing from that. Some more additional enhancements and updates related to the leader portal here is that, as you guys saw last year, it's a great place for you to manage your entire sale in one location. Some of the things you guys shared with us is it'd be great if there were some on-screen guides and ways to help kind of guide you through how to use that system. That's going to exist this year. I know they've made some updates to the actual dashboard pieces of the system, to where you're going to be able to kind of see in a few different snapshots and make edits and adjustments to your scouts and your inventory and things in a much easier way than having to drive down several clicks or several layers. So some of you might have been familiar with that. So they've cleaned that up some. You're going to have I know you'll applaud this, the ability to convert orders between wagon sales and storefront. And so if a scout gets to a storefront sale and starts selling a little bit early, or accidentally logs something as a wagon sale, or is there a little bit late, you're going to have the ability to clean that up, as well as the ability to change the shift that is credited to a storefront. And so some additional options there to help clean up some of those things that you may have experienced last year with some of the storefront opportunities. So all great enhancements in the leader portal as well. Even going back kind of to the app itself, we are going to be incentivizing credit card sales as well. So that's another great feature that's coming this year in order to make things a little bit more contactless. And so we're going to encourage scouts to take credit cards. We're going to put that on our materials and promote that as an option, so that there's less handling of cash and some of those things. So overall, we're really excited about a lot of these new enhancements. We think they're going to give your scouts an opportunity to sell more effectively online, and as Joel mentioned, in any environment that we're in come this fall. The next, some other updates that we want to make sure to provide are on the product themselves. And so there have been some changes related to the overall product lists. And so we want to provide a little bit of a backstory here, and that is that the food manufacturing industry as a whole has had to make some major adjustments in their facilities. And so you've likely seen the effects of that when you've gone to the grocery store and seen some bare shelves in certain aisles. You go to Kroger or wherever it may be, and they're completely out of something. That's not necessarily because people have bought everything up. It's because food manufacturing hasn't been able to necessarily process the demand that's out there in order to continue to produce some of these items. And so you likely heard about that with meat processing, for example. I know my wife was at Kroger just the other day, and there was several items, Coca-Cola flavors and things that weren't on the shelves and they were out of stock on. And so the reality is that has impacted and hit the popcorn distribution and manufacturing across the country as well. And that means that this year we're going to have some changes to our overall product lineup. The biggest impact has been on microwavable products and also to a certain degree on some chocolate products. And so what this means overall, long story short, is that our product lineup is going to have to shift this year in order to be able to keep up with the potential demand that exists in the sale. And there's certain items that's going to be a struggle from a manufacturing standpoint. So what exactly does that mean for us? The first and foremost is that microwave butter, so unbelievable butter in the microwave form, is actually only going to be available online this year. It's going to be sold as a 12-pack. In an effort to kind of help supplement that, what we are going to have in place is an unbelievable pre-popped option, and it's going to come in the large bag that you're familiar with white cheddar last year. And that's going to be offered at likely a $15 price point. So we're going to have a new option at $15 to help kind of bridge the gap between $10 and $20 that existed last year. As we kind of learned about this from Trail's End, pre-popped flavors is growing exponentially overall in the overall market. And the pre-popped bag of popcorn is going to enable us to keep up with manufacturing demands that we're not able to with microwavable. What it also means from a microwave standpoint is that kettle corn is not going to be available this year. It will be back in 2021. And I should use that right now to take a moment to say a lot of the items you're hearing this year are going to be or are meant to be 1 year related to kind of our COVID plan for this year. And so we fully expect microwave butter to be back next year and kettle corn to be back next year. But these are some adjustments we're having to make in order to kind of meet those manufacturing needs. So kettle corn will be back in 2021, but will unfortunately not be available this year. A couple of other changes in addition, an item, premium caramel corn, that was the item with nuts. We're not going to have that as an option this year. It is going to be replaced by a brand new product called Blazing Hot. And so that category just kind of across the market has grown exponentially. There's been demand for it. We do already have several flavors of caramel corn that are on our product list. And so again, this will give us an opportunity to kind of hit that new demand for that market. And also it's again a pre-popped option that can be produced more easily and keep up with demand. That is also going to be offered in the large bag as well. And then that kind of brings me to the final kind of change, and that is related to chocolate product that I mentioned just a moment ago. You will be able to, chocolate product will be available to sell, but it's only going to be available for the direct-to-consumer shipping and or online as an option. And so what that means is that if a scout is going door-to-door doing wagon sales, they could still sell chocolate, but it would have to be delivered using the direct-to-consumer shipping option that I referenced earlier, or somebody could purchase it online as well. There may be some of you that are excited about that because in some ways that means less concern over melted chocolate popcorn out at storefronts and other places. So in some ways, I guess that may help. So I want to keep us kind of moving here as we move through some of these items. So here is just kind of an overall snapshot of all of the items that will exist for this year's sale. And so a few of these are online only, but I wanted to make sure you had a snapshot of that. And so you see chocolate lovers still there, a cheese lovers, chocolatey caramel crunch. New this year online is a dark chocolate salted caramels. That's a candy, not a popcorn. That's an alternative to popcorn, so people can get that online. Of course, salted caramel, the unbelievable microwave that is online. White cheddar blazing hot, the unbelievable butter that's pre-popped, popping corn, and of course caramel corn, which is always our top seller. So those are some of the updates related to our products. The next item I wanted to make sure I kind of bring everybody up to speed on, and this is going to be really important this year from a units perspective and quite frankly from a counselor's perspective and even Trails End perspective. And that is how we're going to have to look at ordering related to this year in the sale. And so the reality is that there is the potential that a second wave of COVID-19 may come in the fall. None of us know that for sure, but that is a potential scenario. And just some quick numbers for you. Last year, units ordered a little over $900,000 worth of popcorn in retail dollars through their first orders. So all the unit orders combined collectively was a little over $900,000. Joel and I and others sitting and talking through this, we know that we cannot afford for all of our units to be stuck with that amount of popcorn out in their hands, you know, if a second wave of COVID were to come through and we're not able to get out and sell that. And so we have looked at ways and a number of different scenarios that we can help your units to kind of limit their exposure should that occur. And what that means is that we're going to be limiting the size of initial orders more so than we have in the past and utilizing weekly orders in order to help get additional product as you're selling that. And so as you might expect, we're counting that, even more of this may be, even more popcorn may be sold online or using that direct to consumer shipping option. And so you actually may have less need to have product inventory in hand. But we're still working out the exact details on what that will look like. It may be closer to the 50% range. In the past, we've been closer to allowing 80% of past the prior year sale to be placed in that initial order. We'll work with you guys on that and through that, and certainly more details to come as we get closer to the actual popcorn rallies and things. But I think it will be really important that we help to kind of, as I mentioned, protect units and limit the exposure they have by having a ton of popcorn in their hands. And part of the reason that I say that is because after we've talked to Trails End, to neighboring councils, to unit colonels like yourselves, some of who are on the call right now, what we are hearing is that units are not interested in taking what I would call returned product back out into their hands this year. And so what many of you know is that in the past, after the initial order, we allow units to return popcorn, and then we use that returned popcorn and resort it, and we use that to help fill additional orders after that. The reality is that this year, our warehouse is not interested in having us take return popcorn in. Our staff, our volunteers, and those who are helping to sort all the popcorn and work with it aren't interested in taking in, items that have already been touched and things of that nature. And quite frankly, our units aren't interested in getting items that have already been out. And so what that means is that as we look at this year, we are going to have a policy of no returns. And let me be extremely clear here. That is not because we do not want to be able to help take product back. As I mentioned before, it's because units are telling us they want popcorn straight from the manufacturer. And you add into that, like I said, the warehouse and staff and volunteers all taking stuff back, and we have to keep everybody's health and safety in mind. And everybody we have talked to, as we've kind of shared that, has kind of nodded their head and said that makes absolute sense. So what that does mean is that what I was talking about with orders just a moment ago becomes even more important for us in managing our orders and helping to make sure that we are minimizing the inventory that you have on hand so that you're not left with any popcorn at the end of the sale. And we are creating all kinds of options in order to help make sure that you do have the popcorn that you need when you need it. And so that'll mean, looking at additional warehouse times, additional options, like I said, weekly orders, and the ability to get you that popcorn as you need it. We're also going to be kind of working with you in order to kind of help and be monitoring, how much popcorn have you sold versus how much, popcorn is out there, and how much more do you need in order to really help you work through that this year. One of the ways that we think that we can kind of help with that this year, and that units have even told us that they are interested in, is to actually start selling early. And so as our popcorn committee has met and discussed different options, one of the big items that came out of the committee was, can we look at having a pre-sale this year? And an opportunity for scouts to go out now and start selling. And so that's exactly what we're sharing here. And Trails End has jumped on board with that as well. And so actually starting July 1st, all of the online items that we just talked about are going to be live, up and ready online. And any sales that you start making on July 1 are going to start kicking in with all of the new features for this year. And so we're going to have a pre-sale that actually runs from July 1st until August 15th. And if you can imagine, that could help your units by collecting what I would call traditionally take orders extra early. So if a scout were to go around and actually start doing some take order now, your unit would have a little better idea maybe of how much to order when it came to that initial order. And also you'd have less exposure because you would know that a bunch of that product had already been sold, and then you could take it and go deliver it. The other realities of kind of doing a pre-sale now that could be beneficial is that, as I mentioned earlier, we have the uncertainty of COVID-19 returning. So this gives units an option to potentially get out now if they're interested, not a requirement. It gives them the option to get out now and maybe start putting some dollars into their unit account, doing some fundraising, raising those funds that they need in order to get a jump start or an early start to raise the dollars they need to fund their programs. The last item I mentioned that you kind of see on your screen is that as a way to help and incentivize units with this, units are going to earn a 5% bonus for all online sales that exist or that take place between that July 1 and August 15 time frame. And so you're going to get that in the form of an Amazon gift card back to your unit, that extra 5% bonus coming back to you to use that however you like. And so a great opportunity again to raise some additional funds there. Finally, the other item I'll mention as a portion of this, I said Trails End has jumped on board. They are offering their own incentive specifically to scouts. So the first 200 scouts to hit the goal of $2,500, and Online Direct is also going to get some extra prizes, a $200 Amazon gift card for those scouts. That is a nationwide incentive. So a good opportunity there for scouts who want to get out and get ambitious now. So that's kind of a huge update. I'm going to turn it back over to Joel now to help take us through some of the fun and exciting stuff. So Joel, you want to share a little bit about prizes?
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Thanks for leaving me the fun, exciting things around prizes. So as you all can see in the visual, we're trying to help incentivize parents and scouts not only to sell more and sell early, as Ken alluded to, but actually use some of the new strategies that are in place to help your units sell popcorn safely in this environment. One way we've done this is through the Popcorn Prize program with a new point system that will give extra credit to scouts for online sales and credit card sales. Now, this is just a draft at the moment, but as you can see in the visual, we are still trying to finalize our council version, but as you can see in the visual, this is how it could potentially work. So if you had a scout last year sell about $600 worth of popcorn and wagon sales, you would have hit the 600 point level and earned a $20 Amazon gift card. However, this year, if those sales were online and or paid via credit card, the scout would earn anywhere between 1,000 to 1,200 points for the same sales and earn a $40 Amazon gift card. So not only necessarily doubling the points, but having the same amount of sales and doubling the amount of gift card that they get, which is pretty amazing. And again, a great incentive to sell popcorn safely. Now, I know we've thrown a lot of major updates to you, and one of the key aspects of the popcorn sales process are the popcorn rallies. Due to being sensitive to everybody in this unique environment, we've decided to make the popcorn rallies online through a virtual webinar this year. These are still extremely important, and you will still earn your extra commission, so please be sure to save these dates. We've got them up on the screen. I know they're later in the month of July. I know we'll be sending out a number of reminders to folks. We've got the registration information there as well, so please make sure that you sign up for one of these rallies. During the rallies, for those of you that are not familiar, is where we provide you with a more in-depth overview of the entire sale process and also pass out all of the popcorn materials, So this year, again, there will be kind of two parts to this. Part one is the online rally webinar that will be offered on both July 23rd and July 27th. These are identical, so you only will need to attend one of the two. And part two is actually the popcorn material pickup nights that will be located within your district. So when you register for the virtual rally, you'll receive an email with the link to go and select when and where you'd like to pick up your materials. In addition, to help make things a little bit more convenient, we will also have the Join the Scout Night materials at the pickup location. So you may want to pick up the popcorn materials yourself, or you may want to coordinate with your unit or joint scouting chair, to pick these items up. We've been exploring indoor rallies, outdoor rallies, and virtual rallies, so we just got the details on these finalized, and we'll have the rally registration live on the website very soon. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be sure to send an email out to all of you once the registration goes live. All right, also a very important online webinar resource is the Trails End webinars. The Trails End webinars are pretty voluminous, actually, and we highly, highly encourage you to sign up for some of them, especially if this is going to be one of your first or second experiences in the popcorn sale process. The webinars are even broken down by the size of the sale in an effort to customize the content for you. I know you'll find the content in these extremely helpful, especially with the number of digital enhancements this year. These are being put on by popcorn kernels from around the country, so they are very informative and help to address your kernel questions and concerns. And then finally, as we wrap up, if you haven't already, please take a moment to enroll your unit in the sale. We've got the instructions up here on the Dan Beard website. Getting enrolled really helps our committee immensely and our volunteers as we plan out the details for the sale of the year. You can do that from the right button at the top of the danbeard.org/popcorn online, and it only takes a minute or two. Before we end, I know that Michael had sent out a communication to everyone via the chat if they had any questions for Ken and I. I know we're going to have Ken and I and Kyle's contact information up here if you think of any questions between now and the rallies. But Ken, do we have any questions via the chat?
We do have just a few questions that I will help to answer. One of the most common ones that I've received is related to storefront sales. We are planning right now as if storefront sales would happen, to a certain degree as they have in the past. We're going to continue to look at that and look at those options. I will say our committee has looked at a number of different ways to help units to set up a storefront that may look a little bit different than last year. So, that might it mean scouts wearing masks or having hand sanitizer at their station, maybe a large display that shows all the products, maybe setting up your products in a different way where a customer could go over and pick up the item that they just purchased without having to have a scout bring it to them. So a number of those types of options that would help to make storefronts safe for those who are there. We realize that that's going to be a changing dynamic, and we'll probably continue to shift and change even over the next couple of months. One item that I know people are wondering about is related to Kroger. We are still in active conversations and dialogue with Kroger. We do not have a 100% answer yet. As they have shared with us, things are a little bit fluid right now. They have not told us no as of yet, but we are still kind of working with them to determine if that's going to be realistic for this year. And I commit to you as soon as I know that and learn more on that we will pass that information along for you. So that's kind of the main item I saw related to storefronts. Let's see. There is an active Facebook page for Popcorn, and so that's up on your screen, and you can expect more and more to be posted there here as we get into the sale. Yes, scouts can start selling July 1st, so absolutely they can hop on and start selling online. All of the products that you see will be up there. We're not necessarily expecting you or your unit or all your scouts to jump on and start selling tomorrow or anything of that nature, but we wanted to make you at least aware of that opportunity and be able to create a game plan to be able to share some of this stuff out to from your past sales and things. Your scouts, a lot of them keep track of their past sales and things of that nature, where they may be able to start reaching out through email or through social media or those types of avenues in order to start selling online, or even, as I mentioned before, start to do some take order so that way you've kind of got a pre-built list of items you've already said before you get to that initial order. Let's see other items that I've seen asked. One that's been asked a couple of times is related to direct-to-consumer shipping. There is a fee associated with that. It's just like online. So if a customer would like to choose to have something shipped directly to their door, the fee structure will be the same, the $7.99 for that shipping, and then a reduced rate of 99 cents for additional items after that. So it'll be a similar structure to what is online. Let's see if I can see anything else. As far as setup for your sale, there was a question related to the dashboard. All of your scouts that registered in the Trails End system last year should already be in there. And so you won't have to, have those folks re-register. You'll need to add any new scouts into the system that weren't in there in the past. Scouts can still use their same account as prior years. And they've also made the functionality much easier for a parent that has two scouts, where they can use the same email address and change between the two accounts. And if you're a colonel or you have multiple people on the unit that are kind of involved in the sale, there's a really easy way now for you to manage who's getting communications right there from inside the leader portal, where you can update that information easily if you need to shift out who should be the primary contact and things. So that functionality is new and exists in there. I think we've answered this in the chat, but yes, we're recording this session and we will certainly post it online afterward in the next couple of days. So that will be up and online at danbeard.org/popcorn. So I'm just kind of reviewing other questions. I don't see anything else major in here, so feel free to send them over if you have additional questions. We are going to export the chat here, and so if we didn't get to your question here at the end, or as we kind of covered things, we'll make sure to try to follow up with you and or post some of those in the frequently asked questions section on danbeard.org/popcorn as well.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Ken. And thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. As Kent mentioned, we want to be here as a resource for you. So please email myself, email Ken, email Kyle, email your district colonels. We're all here to help. No question is out of bounds. We want everybody to feel confident and safe with the popcorn sale this year, no matter what type of environment that we're in. Thank you all for what you do for popcorn and for scouting and for your units. Please do not hesitate to reach out if you need any support. Thanks again and have a wonderful night.
If you're submitting recent questions, I will try to stay on and try to answer those. So hang tight. So our number of participants has dropped down a little bit here. There's still some folks on the line. So what I'll attempt to do here is, assuming everybody doesn't talk at once, we'll try to unmute the line. And if anybody has any specific questions for me that they'd like to ask, I'll do my best to go ahead and answer those now. So we'll look to take we'll unmute, or you can unmute yourself, I guess. We'll invite you to unmute yourself and ask a question if you do have one.
Quick question. You said the chocolate lovers or the chocolate popcorn is online or direct ship only. Is that true for the chocolate lovers collection as well?
Correct. Yeah, that would be any chocolate product, which is primarily the tin, which has the 3 products in it, or the chocolate lovers, and then chocolatey caramel crunch would be the main 2 items that would impact.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Kevin.
Hi, Ken.
Hi.
Hey, just a quick question. I'm not sure if it came through, but I kind of missed the whole idea of the 5% thing between July 1st and August 15th. Is that extra 5% profit to the unit?
Yeah, extra 5% commission to the unit, essentially. Now, it's not going to come in the form of cash commission, though. It's going to come in the form of an Amazon gift card back to you for that same amount.
Okay.
So, but yes, it is 5% commission to the unit.
Okay. Still useful. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yep.
What was the rest of the link for the webinar registration? I have danbeard.org, and what was after that?
For the rallies, we just determined 100% that we were going to do these online virtually. So we're still building out that registration. So the link that you saw up there was just danbeard.org/popcorn. As soon as we're hoping to get that up there in the next couple of days, but we will definitely be sending out emails so that you know to register for the rally. And that's where, you know.
No, it wasn't the rally. It was the next page that had stuff about a webinar.
Oh, the Trails End webinars?
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Good question. Let me see if I can find that and get that posted in the group chat here.
Thank you.
Yep. Tina, was that you asking that?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I just, in case I don't find it here.
It's danbeer.org/TE-webinars.
TE-webinars.
And if you text webinar to the number 62771 to register.
All right, thank you.
Hey, no problem.
Hey, Ken,
Yes.
this is Holly Case.
Hey, Holly, how are
I'm
you?
listening to this Zoom while I'm driving.
Okay.
Would you have those slides available to email?
What we will probably do is post both the slides and the video up onto danbeer.org/popcorn. But yeah, we'll make them available.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
I got a real quick question.
Sure.
You'd mentioned that the microwave popcorn size was going to be cut down to 12 packs from the 20 size it had been. Is it still the same price point? Or I think it was 18 actually. Is it still the same price point as it was?
Oh, you're catching me on one. I actually think, Bill, that maybe it's been raised to $25 online. You're catching me on, I don't know that exact detail. So it's either 20 or 25, but I think Trails End may have actually increased that to 25 this year.
Okay.
Yes, I remember seeing it, that it was 25.
Oh.
Thanks.
Yep, absolutely.
Ken, are there, this is Tanya with US Grant. Since we're doing advanced sales, is there, if I look around on the Dan Beard site, am I going to be able to find order forms for the kids to carry around or to print the door hangers or whatever we want to do to accomplish that?
I would say that we are rapidly moving as quickly as we can. All
Okay.
of these resources built. We do not have an official order form just yet.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something. I thought maybe I was asleep at the wheel, but.
Yeah, you know, I guess we expect a lot of that to be online here in this kind of early portion, especially maybe over the next couple of weeks. But you bring up a good point, and so at the very least, maybe we could get just an order form that would list the products and have a place for you to write the information in, even if it doesn't have all the other pieces of the
Right,
form.
just really simple. And then I think you might have mentioned this, but just to verify, I know that in a previous meeting with the popcorn committee, we had talked about maybe doing more frequent warehouse days or pickups to limit the amount of product handled at a time. Is that still kind of a thing?
Yep, and so I think I briefly mentioned that earlier, but yes, so we are planning on, we're looking at a number of different ways to extend options to get product to unit, and so that may mean extended warehouse hours, or it may mean additional opportunities to pick up during the week, but you know, we're looking at, definitely there will be weekly pickups, and then we're looking at how we can essentially make it easier for units to get it when they need it.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, Ken. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Tanya.
But it isn't helpful.
Ken, where is the warehouse?
Versed Warehouse is typically who we use. We usually find out a little bit later in July specifically which warehouse they're going to use. There's always one that's kind of just north of the Scout Achievement Center around what I would call Springdale area.
Okay.
Or in between there. I guess it's a little south of Westchester, but and then there's one in northern Kentucky, and then we do have distribution sites for at least the larger orders out in US Grant typically. So I would say we're still finalizing those details, and we'll have those in place once we get to the rallies, but that's kind of where they've traditionally been.